Alright, so this is going to be part 2 of the video I already put up. And I first want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for the promotion I got. I really want to thank everybody who's supported me throughout my journey as a storyteller and as a player here on the site. And I also want to just say thank you and to promise that I will take this opportunity to crank everything up to the next level. That being said, I then want to address some of the things that I know have been on people's minds about Livette, if you care. The first thing being just the changes that are going to happen. I want to assuage everybody's fears. Trust me, I'm not taking anything away. If you have a character design that hinges off of being, say, a Shinya, or being a Seeker, or something like that, you don't have to worry. Everything is staying the same. The towers are staying the same. Everything is staying in existence, is what I'm saying, but it's going to be altered, it's going to be changed to kind of fit the overall image so everything is really cohesive, which is a word that I like and that I say often. Anyway, at least in reference to the city. So one of the things that I really am looking forward to is filling in these gaps that exist. For example, the things that need write-up, like Okomo. What makes an Okomo special? People, and myself included, really have no idea. So then I have to sit there and think about making something original that doesn't take too much off, say, the Wind Eagles and Windreach, right? No telepathic connection between rider and mount, but maybe something similar, maybe some empathic connection or not. Maybe, I mean, obviously an Okomo has to be larger than your average mountain goat, and just kind of defining what makes them so special and how they aid the populace more than just being like a horse-type figure. What they bring to the table, basically. So there's that. And likewise, for example, the Seekers don't exist. Not the way that they were intended, anyway. So the Seekers were an organization that were taken, or supposedly taken straight out of the lore, when the lore never really specified any such organization as the Seekers. So now we have this big question mark on this sect of people that never got a write-up because they were never supposed to exist in the first place. But I'm going to rectify that, so I'm going to change the name a little bit. I'm sorry, I really don't like changing names, but I'm going to change the name because, sorry, Seekers, really? And then from there, we're going to expand, so you're going to know how it works, what the structure is, what exactly it takes to be initiated, and then move through the ranks. And I think it's not going to be necessarily an all-over-Mizahar thing. This is going to be Livette specific, just a group of Iris followers that kind of, I don't know, I definitely have to think about the backstory for that, but it's going to have a backstory, which is great. Things are going to have backstories. Things are going to make sense, which then moves me on to explaining why I chose such cultural influences to move the city toward. Because that's something that was bothering me personally. And I don't know if anybody else was thinking about that, but I definitely wanted to then talk about some of the reasoning I have behind that. So basically, Ethefall have impressions of their past lives, right? It's this idea I have where it's not necessarily a direct representation of, say, the Subin or Alahian empires, but it's this idea of a long-lost culture, a lost civilization that the Ethefall sort of recall back when Livette is first being constructed, and they feel this loss more acutely because it's just occurred. They know that that knowledge is lost. So they do their best from what little they can remember, or what plagues them in their dreams, and just the snippets and the flashes of making a city that, as closely as they possibly could, resembled some of the more famous cities that existed, specifically in Supa. So that's something that I thought is kind of interesting, and I obviously have no idea if any of the cities ever looked like Livette, but there's this idea of margin of error, because clearly it's being constructed by a bunch of different impressions, which may or may not actually be reflective of what they think it is, so that's something. But it's also supposed to be in reaction, sort of, to this idea. Why is every single time I do a video, my computer starts to die? It's like I'm just sucking the soul out of my computer while I do this, which is not surprising. Anyway, so what was I even talking about? Oh my god. Okay, so basically, it's this idea that it's sort of in rebellion to the Voltairean, that the compilation of, much like the Library of Alexandria, this idea of just, so much collective knowledge over time just is lost in one fell swoop, It's a reaction to that, and that's why I feel like Lovett is so heavily influenced by knowledge seeking, and by Iris, and by this idea of just accumulating knowledge and never letting it go, and not letting it get swept under the rug. It's in reaction to the cataclysm in that way, that they wanted to make a city that would stand strong, and ultimately, if something ever happened like the Voltairean again, that it would be able to withstand it. And with the Spring de Jet storm, it held up pretty well. I feel like Lovett was one of the few cities that actually did the best, which is ironic since it's probably one of the closest cities to the actual blast radius when Ivik was released from his prison. So that's really cool. And I feel like that's what they were going for, and that's the whole point of the whole city, especially since the 2 people who ended up founding the city, or the 3 people actually, if you count Zentilla, are all still alive. So it's kind of pertinent to have the reasoning there, so if somebody ever asks one of my NPCs, gee, why did you build the city? They can actually give them a reply. That makes sense, and then, of course, runs with one unified theme, which is about culture, because Lovette's all about culture. It's all about, because it's not about wealth, it's not about opulence, it's about the illusion of that, but it's more about the culture behind it. The paintings, the music, the art, the festivals, the debauchery, even the knowledge, so that's that. And is there anything else I wanted to ramble about? Yeah, and another thing is, it's kind of secular, and not secular clearly in the way that you would think of it now, because religion is a fact of life. It's not a thing that they all just kind of wonder about or suppose. It's a thing for Mizaharians. So it's secular in the idea that it covers all religions, and that, of course, was the whole purpose of me talking about the Garden of the Pantheon in the previous video. So, the more you know. Yeah, I think that's all I have to talk about right now, and stay classy.